Settled On Podcast, Crown Heights, Then and Now. And right now, this is part 2 from part 1 I did with my biological cousin. This is Cuzzo, alright? Now, part 2 is with him in person, alright? Yo, Cuzzo, what's up, man?
What up, cuz?
How you doing?
Doing well.
Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. Glad we can catch up, man. So now in person, we doing this interview, alright? This is part 2. Yo, Cuzzo, we gonna get off where we left off at, alright?
Alright.
So now you back and forth in the Crown Heights. You're living over there by the Coney Island side. You're in high school.
Yeah.
What high school did you join?
I went to Midwood High School in Bedford Avenue, off of Bedford Avenue. Yeah.
That's when you moved from Crown Heights, right?
Right.
Okay. So tell us your story, man. Because we know you for being very acrobatic, I can say very athletic.
Right.
Like I remember as a kid you running so fast, like used to me was about like a block. You know what I mean? But anyway, you going into high school, what happened?
Yeah. I always wanted to go to that high school because but I got, like I told you before in the other interview, I got interested in football from my neighborhood, and I joined a little league, out in out in Bay Ridge. I played ball over there as a child, so I had experience. So I took it a little further, and we used to play on the block, and in my neighborhood we used to play football outside. And I seemed like I excelled in it. I felt like I felt good enough so where I could try out for my my high school team, and that's what I did. I always imagined, I used to imagine myself going to that school. Use my imagination. I used to go to the field and look at the field and say, "Yo, one day I'm gonna play on this field." And it was something that I really wanted to do, and it came true. That's how. But there were some other things that transpired for me to get into that school. Like I told you before, I had some difficulties with my learning and all that stuff. My schoolwork.
The educational part. Basically, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, it wasn't up to par.
It wasn't up to par. The grades wasn't up to par.
Right.
Basically. Okay. Yeah, continue.
What also helped me was I had a sense of like discipline. I respect people, and I respect the adults, and you have to use other resources than education to get where you're going sometimes. And I realized that. So I always had like a discipline, type of mentality towards, adults and people like that. Ditmas Junior High, and the person in the gym teacher, he was familiar with the people in Midwood, and he took a liking to me, and he helped me get into Midwood. His name was Mr. Kevorkian, not very nice. The principal of, now he was the gym teacher at that time, but he became the principal of that school. So anyway, he had a big part in that part of my life, and I appreciate that. So I went over to Midwood. Yeah. So hope that answers your question about So in Midwood, it was a good thing because I excelled in that. I became a captain of the football team. I also realized I became MVP a few years. I got skipped from the junior varsity into the varsity, which is the where you want to be. You want to be in varsity, not junior varsity. But anyway, in the story, as it may, I excelled, like I said, and I became you know, MVP of Brooklyn, meaning I'll be one of the all-stars in Brooklyn, right? And that is a good thing because if you wanna go to college, it helps. You have a possibility of getting a scholarship or things like that. Going to a great school, or a elite college, right? Yeah. So through all of that, the coaches, they took a liking, and they seen that I'm a good player, or whatever. So anyway, I got offers from big schools. I got letters from every school you can think about. You know, and I got the coach from UCLA. He came down one day, and he spoke to me in the locker room personally, and he said, we like you. We think you can do well in our school. And he said, next year I'm gonna come and check you, and I want you to grow 2 inches. And I said, grow is not, you already had my peak of growth already. So I said, that's not gonna happen. But anyway, you see, I want you to gain like 20 pounds. That happened. I put on, the weight, whatever. I did that. But the height, that didn't happen. So anyway, to go to those schools are big. They're really, good schools. That's the schools that pros may come and check you out. So I did what they said. I trained all summer, got big. I was serious about my game. I used to be in the newspapers every day. I mean, not every day, but every week that we played. You can, look it up yourself. You know what I mean? Anyway, what I would
Where can they look that up? Not to cut you off. Where can they look that up?
They can look it up in YouTube. You know what I mean? They can look it up in the Daily News. Back in the night from 1983 to 86. That's when I played. If you know my name, my general, whatever, you can look that up.
Get on the name so they can know.
Glenn Ford. You know what I'm saying? Midwood High School, 86 to 80. I mean 83 to 86.
Okay.
Middle High School, Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. Continue what you was going back to what you were saying.
So yeah. So I'm trying to put out is that I was using that as, like I said, a stepping stone to, as a way of transcending life. Like getting to a point where you could, do something for your community or do something for your people. You know what I'm saying? Or do something for your generation or whatever. But that was, a dream. You know what I mean? That's a dream. You know what I mean? A dream was coming together, but certain times, sometimes your dreams don't come true. You know what I'm saying? In that sense, you know what I mean? But the thing is that I learned a lot, in that. But my grades, you got to stay in school. You gotta be serious about that. Not only your dream, but you gotta confront whatever obstacles. And the obstacle of transcending the SATs, at that time, you have to have like more than like 1,300 or something like that to get to your, where you want to go. So they came down. They seen that my SATs wasn't up to par. It wasn't where it wasn't there. It has to be a certain level in your SATs. So those schools, I can show you in my SATs, they came and say, yo, it was sad, bro. It was really, it defeated, it deflated me, Your SATs have to be up to, a certain level, and their interest just wasn't there anymore because of that. But I still continued, I went to, Division A school, which wasn't, the school that I desired, but I still tried to get through. I went to Delaware State after that, and the politics over there was like, yo, we don't know you like that. You didn't come to us recommended by this and that's this guy or that guy or whatever. But I still made the team, but I decided not to play because I wasn't getting the support. I seen that there's no real help to get you to the next level. So after that, I left that alone. And I came back, I came back here and picked up after that, My life changed, So I had to adapt, coming back to Brooklyn, dealing with, my family. I met someone, we got involved, this and that. But I always went back to, I came back after that, got a little house, got my apartment, did this and that. And I went back, to check my cousin again. Always go back, You know what I mean? Go back to Crown Heights. You know what I mean?
So, very well spoken, cuz. But yo, cuz.
Yeah.
So after that situation, you came back to the Heights. Tell us, when you came to Crown Heights, what happened?
Well, you know, I was always like a person that wanted to, you know, I don't know, reach out, man. Reach out to people. You know, at that time you're young and you want to make a difference. I wanted to make a difference, not only with myself but with others. You know what I mean? That was always inside of me. You know what I mean? To help, you know, change our present circumstances to, you know, to greater circumstances, right? So my thing was, I came back and I was looking around and I seen a whole bunch of talent in the you know, the younger people. You know, I seen guys like, you know, like they're fire, they're on fire. They wanted to change their lives. They wanted to, you know, better themselves, you know, and that inspired me. So I said, how could I, you know, what can I do, you know, to be a part of this, you know, to be a part of them, you know, to maybe, you know, we can lift each other up. So what I did was, you know, I noticed that everyone liked music, and we all everybody liked music, you know, and they were you know, I met some intelligent young brothers, you know, who were into rap, and I was like, okay, you know, I just felt that we could make something happen, and I didn't know anything about, you know, the responsibilities of going into that, but I went into it, you know, with the faith, you know, like I always do, and we started, you know, getting to know each other better, and we started by doing concerts, you know, creating, you know, concerts in the park. You know, we did some concerts in the, you know, the public parks, and we would, you know, we got involved more. So we started going to the studios, and we're creating music, and you know, I'm a very resourceful person. I started to meet a lot of people, you know, in Manhattan from my job. After work, I would go and meet people in the clubs, and they would be influential people in the business of music, you know, and we meaning me and the groups that I was involved with, which were from Crown Heights, namely the Black Kids, as one group, Dark Stalkers, that was another group, and there were some other groups like you probably heard of Clinton for president, and what's your Muhammad? Muhammad, how you doing, my brother? Everybody all right? You know, you guys were some positive kids. You're young, you're only you were like what, 14, 15, and your minds were so expansive. You know what I mean? Everything you put down, you know, on paper, you know, was so creative and powerful, you know, and you were dedicated, you know, and you showed a lot of enthusiasm and strength, man, you know, and from that led me, you know, to show you that what you were doing was positive, and not, you know, the whole world was looking down at black youth, little, you know, young ones, as though they have nothing to offer. And you guys have more than the world knew. And I was just trying to express that and show that, you know, showcase that. And we did that. We made a compilation record, Muhammad and Clinton. You guys made your own. You made some money from that. You know what I mean? You even took it further than that. You know what I'm saying? You guys went and got your own studios and you did your own thing. You know what I mean? And you got you became grown. You grew up as men. You know what I mean? And even though your circumstances were challenging, you know, you knew how to take a look and step out of that, and you know, and create something, you know, for yourselves and your family. And there's big respect for that.
Salute to that. Salute to that. Salute to that, man. Salute to that. Crown Heights then and now, man. Yeah, cuz, man. Very well spoken, my brother. Very well spoken, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Very well spoken, man.
Yeah.
Yo, cuz.
Yeah.
Man, we want to thank you for the contribution to Crown Heights, man.
Thank you know, man. Thank Crown Heights.
We sorry that your childhood, your football career didn't go the way you had wanted it. Sometimes things don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes things ain't meant.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes,
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to tell the kids before we tap out of here?
Yeah.
From your experience, what would you like to say before we tap out of here?
I mean, follow your dreams, man. Follow your heart. Meaning, don't let the world or your society or circumstances make you deflate. Make you think that you're lesser than what you can create. Your creativity takes you out of your normal, the norm. It's okay to be in the norm, but be courageous enough to know how to step out of the box. Step out of the box, and see what's going on, see what's good. Get more insight from, your surroundings, and try to, follow your heart.
Very well spoken, my brother. Very well spoken.
Thank you.
Very well spoken. Yo, this is Shadow Down Podcast. Crown Heights Then and Now. With Cuzzo, and we tapping out of here, all right? Uh-huh.